We were going to buy a used diesel SUV and ended up placing an order for a brand new electric car. How did that happen? We're changing this 09 Audi A4 Avant diesel estate for a newer car. I started researching the options using Parkers and Auto Trader to see what's about. We've owned the Audi for over 7 years. It served us well as a safe, comfortable family car. And we were thinking this time about getting an SUV because our drive is quite hard to get up when it's covered in snow. We're used to the capacity of this estate. Occasionally, the wife carries bales of hay when she helps her friend look after a pony. I'm 6'3" and our 15-year-old son is heading in that direction, and we just like the idea of having a big imposing SUV. So based on the advice from our mechanic brother-in-law, who says that Hyundais are very reliable, we went along to a dealership to have a look at a Santa Fe. As soon as we parked up, the wife Vicky spotted an Ioniq. She said, "Oh, that's nice." And actually it's quite unusual for Vicky to take any notice of cars whatsoever. She likes her 2001 Hyundai Coupe and is reluctant to part with it. So when she said she liked the Ioniq, I thought, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. But we were there to have a look at the Santa Fe, so we moved on. The Santa Fe looked okay, but neither of us were particularly enamored with it. On the way home, we stopped on a whim at a Mitsubishi dealership, and we were shown the Outlander PHEV. Now, to this point, I'd never even heard of a PHEV. The Outlander's quite a good looking car, has some nice tech in it, and is the biggest selling green car. They told us about the advantages of buying a green car, like zero tax and a government incentive when buying new. And also, if you happen to own a company, which we do, there's very low benefit in kind tax. And if you buy a brand new car, you can actually write it off 100% in the first 12 months. So thinking about it, a PHEV felt like a really good idea. We have off-road parking. Almost all our journeys are short, certainly less than 100 miles a day. We have solar panels on the roof. I'm quite keen on being green in as many ways as I can. And a brand new car would have some nice tech in it that I would obviously appreciate. So we asked our accountant, and he confirmed that the advantages of buying a brand new green car were actually worth thinking about. And after a couple of test drives of a G4H Outlander, we were about to press the button on a 33 grand brand new car. Then someone in some green car forums suggested that we should consider an all-electric car, which I hadn't at this point. So knowing that the wife likes the look of it, I had a test drive of an electric Ioniq. The performance in sports mode was kind of comparable with the Audi, which is not slow. The big factor is that the top spec model, the Premium SE, is a full 9.5 grand cheaper than the Outlander. That's after the government incentive of 4.5 grand off, and the fleet salesman gave us a little bit of a discount. So returning back to the reasons why we were going to buy an SUV, if it snows, and it hasn't in the last 2 winters at least, we could just fit winter tyres, and they probably work better than a four-wheel drive SUV anyway. The Ioniq has reasonable capacity, but on the rare occasion that we actually need lots more, we could either hire a car or just get a taxi to the airport. Bales of hay would fit in an Ioniq. Me and our son fit in the Ioniq, with me in the driver's seat and him sat directly behind. He's 5'11" now. I think even if he's over 6 foot, which he probably will be, we're still going to fit okay. And the prospect of owning an electric car is frankly more exciting than the prospect of owning an SUV. So what are the disadvantages of owning an electric car? With my experience of test driving the Ioniq specifically, I found that the regenerative braking was weird. So you go to brake and it's not a kind of linear effect that it has. That was the only real negative point of the test drive, to be honest, but I think I'll probably get used to that. The Ioniq is a brand new car, and that does cause me some concern because I don't like to be the beta tester for anything, having been a software developer. But as our mechanic brother-in-law said, Hyundai have got a great reputation for reliability, and so I'm actually not too worried about that. Plus, the car's got a 5-year warranty and 8 years on the battery. My biggest concern is probably the residual value of the Ioniq. I know that Hyundai have got another electric car in the pipeline with apparently much longer range. The Ioniq's range is 120 miles-ish. I expect that within a few short years, new battery technology will mean that the lithium-ion batteries in current cars will be seen as archaic, and 300-400 mile plus cars that recharge in half an hour easily will be just standard. So maybe Hyundai will offer a replacement battery for the Ioniq down the pipe, but you have to jump in at some point, and I'm happy to go for it with the Hyundai despite that particular concern. I suppose the biggest issue people have with buying an electric car is range anxiety. If, however, you do less than the range of the car most of the time, then it's just not going to be an issue. Obviously, occasionally most people drive longer distances, and then you have to have a bit of planning. You have to find somewhere you can charge it up, and then you have to spend the time charging it. So the infrastructure isn't, I don't think, good enough for worry-free electric car driving, but it's going to get there. It's worth getting an electric car now. The more people who buy into it, the more charge points will be installed around the country. So what are the pros of having an electric car? Well, for me, I think there are many. If, like me, you love the technology, well, usually electric cars are packed with it. The Ioniq has Apple CarPlay, the Android Auto, is it called, version of that. There's a little slot in the center console where you can just pop your Android phone and it will charge wirelessly. It's got a nice big display. It has awesome safety features like lane assist and adaptive cruise control and emergency braking and blind spot detection, that sort of thing, which is all fantastic. Electric cars are, of course, way cheaper to run and maintain. No engine, of course, and no gearbox. Zero tax. And the Ioniq specifically, I think, is fantastic value for money. Oh, and I think it looks nice, and Vicky thinks it looks nice. So going for the Ioniq was pretty much a no-brainer. So we placed an order for the Ioniq back in February. It's now almost May. It's been kind of frustrating waiting for the car to come. I'm impatient. I'm looking forward to it. It's due to arrive in June. So should you consider buying an electric car? Well, if you have off-road parking, do less than 100 miles in a day, you like technology and being an early adopter, you want to be greener, you're happy with a mid-sized family car, and maybe if you have solar panels, there's a bonus, I would definitely consider giving an electric car a test drive at least. So I'm completely sold on the idea of owning an electric car now, and I can't imagine that I'll buy a fossil fuel car ever again. I'll be making more videos about owning the Hyundai Ioniq electric car, so please, if you've liked this video, click the like button and subscribe maybe. And I'll be back soon with another video with my experiences. Cheers! With the Ioniq specifically, because it has regenerative